What if I told you that right now, as we speak, Facebook is secretly classifying your business? And based on that classification, one that you've never seen and they've never told you about, they're deciding whether your ads get the red carpet treatment or get buried. Whether you can scale to 50K a month, 100K a month in ad spend, or whether you're silently capped at 5K or 10K. And I know this because I went into our ads manager source code and I found proof. And by the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly what this system is, what I found in our code, and what to do if it's working against you. So if you are advertising on Facebook or Instagram, or thinking about advertising on Facebook or Instagram, pay attention because this one's gonna be a banger. I'm Russ Ruffino. I've spent 12 years helping coaches, consultants, and experts build high-ticket businesses, and this is where I show you exactly what we've learned from over 9 figures in high ticket coaching sales. So not promising any specific results here, just gonna pull back the curtain and show you what's working. Hit the subscribe button and let's dive in. Here's what Facebook might not want you to know. Inside Meta's advertising system, there's this concept that's been circulating among advanced media buyers. It's called the HIVA score, HIVA, and it stands for high value advertiser or high value asset, depending on who you ask. Now, Meta has never officially confirmed the name or published the exact formula. The concept is real. Meta maintains an internal trust rating system that classifies every advertiser into tiers that silently controls your entire experience on the platform. So think of it like a credit score for advertisers, except unlike your actual credit score, which you can just look up anytime, Facebook never tells you what yours is. It's deliberately hidden. Now, be honest for a second. Have you ever had a situation where your ads just stopped working, or your costs just doubled overnight with no explanation, or you got banned or restricted and you didn't really do anything wrong? When that happened, you probably blamed the algorithm, or you blamed, the creative, or you blamed iOS 14 or 16 or 18 or 20 or whichever one we're on now, or you even maybe blamed your media buyer. But here is what might actually have been happening. Meta's internal trust system was working against you in the background, and you had no idea. So I got to tell you something. A few months ago, I was in this exact situation. All of a sudden, our CPMs, that's what we spend to show our ad to 1,000 people, went through the roof. So we're talking $300+ per 1,000 impressions. And we had 2 to 4% click-through rates. And those are strong click-through rates. And usually that brings down your CPM. So the math wasn't mathing. So I did a little digging and I realized that there is this entire underground economy of people who claim that they can fix your HIVA score. Now, some of them are claiming to be insiders at Facebook who can get in there and manually change stuff for a fee, and they charge a lot, like a $20,000 setup fee, $10,000 a month to manually go in there every month and fix your HIVA score. Now, look, that's probably a scam, but it does show you one thing, that the HIVA score is real and that people are doing what they can to try to manipulate it. So I actually did something that most advertisers never think to do. I went into our actual business manager and I pulled up the source code, right? So the raw code behind the page, and I just started digging. And what I found changed how I think about Facebook advertising. So your trust classification is the foundation that everything else sits on. And most advertisers don't even know it exists. So what does Meta actually track? What did we find in the code? Well, there's several factors that industry experts and leaked data suggest influence your internal classification. So let's just break those down. The first factor is your policy violation history. So every ad rejection, every warning, every temporary ban, every account shutdown, as far as we can tell, that gets logged permanently. And those violations don't just affect the ad account they happened in, they can affect your entire business manager, and they can even follow your personal profile around across multiple business managers. So let me be honest about something, right? Over 12 years, yeah, we have had accounts get flagged. Not because we were doing anything shady, but because in 12 years of running ads at scale, stuff happens. The algorithm makes mistakes, policies change overnight. We've had bot attacks. We've had competitors just go and start reporting our ads. And the problem is, as far as we can tell, Facebook doesn't forget. Every single one of those events can potentially drag your trust classification down, and you never even know it's happening. So that's the first factor. Second factor is even sneakier because it's something that your own customers might be doing to you right now without even realizing it, and that's user feedback. So Facebook surveys users about their experience with your ads. Did their experience match what they expected, or did they feel misled? So if people are hiding your ads or reporting them as spam or giving negative feedback after clicking, obviously that's going to drop your trust score. And what makes this brutal is that it doesn't matter if your product is great, that's got nothing to do with it. What matters is whether your landing page matches the ad. So your ad makes a promise. People click the ad expecting to see something. And if your landing page doesn't deliver on that, then you get penalized. So the gap between what the ad implies and what the page delivers is where the trust starts to erode, not just with customers, but with the platform itself. The third factor is your spend pattern. Now, this is a little counterintuitive because spending more on Meta actually helps your trust. Meta rewards advertisers who consistently put money on the platform. But here's the thing, if you've been a low spend advertiser for years and then you suddenly try to scale your ad spend, the system gets suspicious. It's kind of like somebody with no credit history suddenly applying for like a $500,000 line of credit. That's a red flag. And I'll be honest, there's a stretch in my business where we would scale aggressively and then all of a sudden we had more customers than we knew what to do with and we'd have to pull back and then we'd try to scale again and it was feast or famine. So we thought we were being smart. We spent when it worked and we cut back when we had to kind of chill. But the problem is that inconsistency was quietly hurting us in the background. Meta doesn't care about your reasons because they don't know. Maybe you pulled back because the economy was tight or because you were tight on cash or whatever. But all the algorithm sees is erratic behavior. And erratic behavior to an algorithm looks like a risk. Make sense? So the fourth factor is the quality of your entire asset ecosystem. Now, this is the one that blew my mind. So it's not just your ad account that gets evaluated. It's your whole business manager. It's your Facebook page. It's your pixel. It's your personal profile. Every asset carries its own trust signal. So you could have a really strong ad account that's connected to a weak business manager, and that weakness is going to drag everything else down. So there's this concept in engineering called the weakest link principle, right? In any chain, the overall strength of the chain is determined by the weakest single link. And your Facebook advertising ecosystem works the same way. So you could be running the greatest ads on the planet, just brilliant, amazing ads, but you lose to somebody whose ads kind of suck just because their account has more trust than yours. Now here's where it gets really interesting because I didn't just research this, I actually went and looked. So if you want to do this, you open your ads manager, you right click, you hit view page source, and then you can pull up the raw code that Meta sends to your browser. I pasted that raw code into Claude Cowork and ran a full analysis. What I found was pretty fascinating. So first of all, there's no single field labeled HEVA score. So anybody telling you to search for trust tier and you'll find your bronze or silver, gold, or platinum rating, that's not accurate. I've seen that advice circulating online and it's just not true. It may have been true before, but it's definitely not true today. So Meta doesn't expose a neat little tier label in your page source for you to find. But here's what they do expose, and it's arguably more revealing. It's a field called CAS segment account. So CAS, customer account segmentation. And the value on my account was high, which is good. Meta has internally classified our ad account into a high segment. So it's not a tier number, it's not a color, just high. And that classification is sitting there in the source code. You can see it. And if you know where to look, you just pull up the source code, you have ChatGPT or Claude analyze it. Now, by the way, if you're a coach, consultant, therapist, attorney, or any kind of expert, and you're thinking about advertising on Meta, don't do it without help. Click the link in the description of this video and book a call with my team. I've been doing this for 12 years, over 6,000 clients. We're here to help you if you need it, but don't try this at home. I mean, I think I'm telling you right now that Meta is so tricky to understand that if you just dive in there and start running ads, you could be in serious trouble. It's a lot tougher than it looks. Definitely work with me or someone like me to get that help. So go into your source code, upload it to Claude, upload it to ChatGPT, and see what you can find, because Claude will find some interesting things. Now, I also found 3 quality scores that Meta tracks on every campaign. Quality score organic, expected click-through rate, expected conversion rate. And these feed directly into Meta's ad relevance diagnostics and almost certainly factor into your overall trust classification. And there are other flags as well. Tier 0, Tier 1, Tier restricted. These control your spending limits. So these aren't the HEVA tiers people talk about online. They're spending authorization levels. But look, they're another piece of the puzzle that shows how Meta layers multiple trust signals on top of each other. So they don't just give you one score, they give you a dozen hidden signals that combine to determine how your ads get treated, and they don't really talk very much about any of those. So the bottom line is this: the people online who are saying, hey, just check your source code for your HEVA score, they're oversimplifying something that's way more complex. Meta's trust evaluation isn't just one number, it's a constellation of signals across every asset in your ecosystem. But the cool thing is that some of those signals, not all of them, are visible if you just know where to look. The full picture, that's locked away server side where no advertiser can see it. You can only see it if you actually work at Meta. But here's why that matters even more than just a simple score. Because Meta just changed the rules of the entire game. And if you haven't adapted to what happened in early 2025, your ads are probably dying right now. And this hidden trust system is making it worse. So in early 2025, Meta rolled out something called Andromeda. Now that's their new AI-powered ad retrieval engine, and it completely rewrote the rules. So here's what used to work, right? The old way of doing ads is you'd create 3 to 6 ads per ad set. You would get very specific with the targeting. You would manually optimize. You'd find a winner and you'd scale it up. That's the way we did it for years. But now that playbook is dead. So stop for a second. Really hear this. Andromeda doesn't start with your audience anymore. It starts with your ad creative. It analyzes everything, your visuals, your copy, your hooks, your format, and then it predicts at an individual level which specific ad each specific person is most likely to respond to. So Meta's own engineering blog says those models are now 10,000 times more complex than what they were using before. So that's not just a tiny little update, that is a fundamental architectural change to how your ads get served and delivered. Now it sounds great, right? More precise matching, better results. But here's the problem. Andromeda needs a lot of variety to work. And this is where people are getting killed because they're trying to do things the old way. So under the old system, we did this for like 10 years. You could run 2 to 3 winning ads and you just milk those ads for months. But under Andromeda, the creative fatigue happens way faster, like within a week or two. And depending on how much you're spending, you need to be rolling out new ads constantly. And when Andromeda gets sick of one of your ads, your costs skyrocket. So Meta's own guidance now recommends 8 to 15 genuinely different creative concepts per campaign, but with one important caveat. That level of volume only works if your budget can support learning across that many assets. So if you're spending a few $100s a day and you're uploading like 20 or 30 or 40 creatives, you might be hurting yourself because the system can't learn that fast across that many options. So you have to match your creative volume to your spend level. Now, the key word is genuinely different, not just minor tweaks, not changing a headline, not swapping a background color, but totally different creative concepts, different angles, different emotional entry points. Now, I'll tell you, when I first heard this, I was like, oh my God, this is insane. How are we supposed to produce this volume of creative just to keep up? But then I sat with it for a second and I realized something. This actually levels the playing field in a really cool way. Because those gurus with one viral video and nothing else, they're struggling now. But the people who show up consistently and creatively with new ideas, new angles, new stories, especially the people that are using AI to brainstorm, they're winning. So Andromeda rewards depth over just like 1 or 2 winners. Depth over flash. One viral video is not going to save you anymore. What will save you is consistency. So remember what I said at the beginning about your trust classification being the foundation? Like this is where it gets critical. Here's where your trust signals and Andromeda intersect. And this is the new equation. So Andromeda is trying to match millions of ads to billions of users. It has to decide which ads even get considered in the first place. So an account with low trust and not very many creatives, your ads are way less likely to make it through that initial retrieval process. So you're fighting with one hand tied behind your back. But an account with really strong trust signals and lots of different creatives for Andromeda to play with, now you're giving it everything it needs to optimize. You're going to get better delivery, you're going to get better matching, and you're going to get better results. Make sense? So there's this principle in biology called survival of the adapted. So most people think evolution favors the strongest or the smartest or the fastest. It doesn't. Evolution favors the organism that adapts fastest to change. So if you're rigid and you're locked into one thing, you're toast. And that's true in biology and it's true in advertising. So the advertisers who thrive under Andromeda are not the guys with the biggest budgets. They're the guys who get the best ideas and adapt the fastest. So under Andromeda, if you have low trust and you can't come up with that many ad ideas, you're invisible. But if you can create that trust and you have lots of different creators going, you can crush it. And Andromeda works better than ever before. So let's get practical. You can't see your full trust profile. Meta keeps that locked. but you're not helpless. There are things you can see, and there are strategies that directly improve how Meta treats your account. So first, go check what you can see. Open up your ads manager right now. Do it in a browser. Right click, hit view page source, and upload that code into ChatGPT or into Claude and see what it shows you. Search for that CAS segment, right? Look for what you can find. Look at your ad relevance diagnostics. Look at those quality scores. All of this stuff is visible. That quality ranking, the engagement rate ranking, the conversion rate ranking. Claude will find all of these things if you just ask it to analyze your source code, and then drop a comment and let me know what Claude told you. So those scores directly feed Meta's assessment of your ads and by extension, your account. So if you want the full picture, there's actually also professional audit services like Scorify that have partner level access to Meta's backend data. So if you think you've got a real problem on your hands, you might want to actually engage a service like this because they can probably pull your actual trust tier, your hidden penalties, any shadow ban flags, any of that other stuff. I'm not affiliated with them, but those services exist and I just want you to know that they exist, okay? Regardless of what you find in the source code, here are the 3 strategies that matter the most. First of all, run clean, stay clean. Now, this sounds obvious. Most people think they're already doing it, but they're not. Just pay attention. Don't make a lot of wild income claims in your ads. Be compliant. Follow the rules, because every policy violation just chips away at your trust. Audit your ads, audit your landing pages. Make sure your ad copy matches what people actually experience when they click. No exaggerated claims, no like misleading before and afters, no clickbait headlines that don't deliver. Now, look, I know the temptation because Russ, edgy ads perform better. And sometimes they do in the short term, but every ad that gets flagged just chips away at that trust score and it ends up costing you a hell of a lot more in the long term, So being consistent beats being clever over 12 years, I promise you, okay? So the second strategy is ramp your spend gradually and keep it stable. So Meta rewards advertisers who spend consistently. So if you've been sporadic, on and off, feast or famine, it's not a huge factor, but it does make the algorithm a little bit nervous, for lack of a better word. So just increase your budget slowly, keep it stable, and show the system that you are a stable, reliable spender. Don't go from $100 a day to $5,000 a day overnight. That triggers a lot of flags and tanks your trust score. When you decide to take this seriously, just treat your ad spend like your credit history. Keep it consistent. Every deposit is a deposit in the trust bank. You know what I mean? All right, strategy 3, diversify your creative like your business depends on it, because it does. Under Andromeda, this is not optional. You need genuinely different creative concepts running. Now, the exact number depends on your budget. But look, if you're spending a few $100s a day, 5 to 8 strong concepts. If you're spending thousands, you need 15 or 20 different hooks, different formats, different emotional triggers. Whether it's you on camera or image ads or text ads or testimonial ads, all these different types, you have to test it all. Now, here's a reframe that changed how I think about this. If you're somebody who's building a business on your expertise, you're a coach, consultant, therapist, attorney, any kind of expert, you actually have an unfair advantage here because you have depth. You have real stories, real transformation. You have a dozen different angles you can speak to authentically. That is what Andromeda rewards. And it is something that the fly-by-night operators are going to have a really tough time faking. So to be clear, you're not just creating 2 to 3 ads anymore and crossing your fingers. You are feeding an AI that needs a lot of variety to learn. And if you're an expert and you have real depth, that gives you that unfair advantage. Now, look, there are more advanced strategies. You can rent access to high trust agency accounts. You can do full infrastructure rebuilds if your business manager is totally screwed. There's professional back-end audits you can get. So if you want me to go deep on those, just drop a comment that says advanced and I'll make that the next video. But I kind of just wanted to introduce you to this whole concept of quality score and trust score because you really just need to understand how it works. So there's more advanced tactics we can get into, but let me just zoom out because what I'm about to tell you is the most important part of this entire video, and it goes way beyond Facebook. Everything I just told you about Meta's trust system and Andromeda, yes, it's important, it's tactical, it can save you thousands of dollars a month. But here's the thing that most people are gonna miss about this video. So I really need you to hear this next part. We are living through what I call a trust recession. And it's not just Meta that's scoring and rating advertisers, it's the entire marketplace. Consumers are more skeptical than they've ever been. They've been burned over and over again by gurus and masterminds who made big promises with no support. by programs that spent 95% of their effort on sales and like 5% on delivering. And I tell my clients something, and it always makes them a little bit uncomfortable at first, but then something clicks. Selling to today's market is like going on a date with someone who's been on like 50 horrible dates before you. And now you show up and you're number 51 and you're saying, "No, I swear to God, I'm different." They don't believe you. They can't. They've heard it all. They're not looking for reasons to trust you. They're looking for reasons not to trust you. So you can't just say that you're different. You got to show it. And the way you show it is through consistent quality and real results and total transparency about who you are and what you actually deliver. Make sense? So in the trust recession, the relationship begins when you pay. And in most programs, most businesses, most ads, it ends. And here's how this connects to everything we just talked about. Meta's trust system is just asking one question. Hey, can we trust this advertiser? Are they going to make our users happy, or are they going to click this person's ads and then regret it? And that same question is being asked everywhere, not just by Meta, but by your prospects too, before they book a call, by your clients after they enroll, by every platform you touch. So let me ask you something. Your account classification, your reputation, your actual results for your actual clients, they are all measuring the same thing. Do you deliver on what you promise? And if the answer is yes, consistently over time, everything gets easier. That's how I've been doing this for 13 years. We just deliver again and again and again. And the more you do that, the easier things get. Higher trust, lower cost, better clients, more freedom. But if the answer is no, if you're cutting corners, if you're optimizing for like short-term wins over long-term relationships, the system is going to catch up to you always. On the platform, in the marketplace, in your life, your account classification, your reputation, your customer reviews, your results. Do you deliver on what you promise? That's what it's all about. So that's why when you implement what I taught you today, you're not just improving your Facebook ads, you're building something that compounds. You're building that trust that compounds. And in a world where everybody's cutting corners, the person who builds real trust has an unfair advantage that no algorithm change can take away. So here's what I want you to do right now, just to bring this home. First, go check your source code. Grab it, download it, upload it to Claude or ChatGPT, ask it to analyze and see what comes up. Take a look at that CAS segment, look at those 3 quality scores I talked about. Second, implement the 3 strategies. Run clean, ramp gradually, diversify your creative. And then third, and this is one that matters most, start thinking about trust as the foundation of everything you do, not just with Facebook, but with your market, with your clients, with the way that you show up every single day. Now, look, if you're an expert, coach, consultant, therapist, doctor, attorney, anybody who gets paid for what you know, I want you to understand that Facebook advertising is definitely a minefield. There's 1,000 ways to do it wrong and maybe a handful of ways to do it right. So you need to be working with me or someone like me who can help you do this. And if you need that help, there's a link in the description of this video to book a call with the team. We've been doing this for over a decade now, 6,000 clients. We understand the landscape. We can help you navigate it. So the advertisers who are getting killed right now, those are the guys that didn't adapt. They've been running 2024 playbooks in a 2026 world. At Clients on Demand, results are our religion, and in the trust recession, real results are the ultimate competitive advantage. So look, if this was valuable to you, hit that subscribe button. We're doing a lot more content like this, posting these kinds of videos twice a week at least. Not theory, but here's what we're seeing in the trenches with real accounts spending real money. Like I said, we've had over 6,000 clients. That's 6,000 plus offers that we've worked on. So believe me, we've seen it all. So look, drop a comment and tell me, what did you find in your source code? What was there? What was interesting? Tell me what you found. I'll read these comments, I'll respond, and we can get a nice dialogue going to figure out how we can help all of our accounts perform better. All right, thanks for watching. I'm Russ Ruffino, and I'll catch you in the next video.